Hello.
All right, so welcome everyone. This is our last session of our mobility and flexibility class. So next week start with the new course. So same style, a little bit more information on Canvas. Hey, good morning, Debbie. And again, that will go for 8 weeks until I believe the week before Memorial Day, which is around mid-May. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. We'll start from the chair, stand up, work on some ankle stuff, lower leg stuff too. I've been dealing with some anterior tibialis tendonitis. I'm gonna work on that a little bit. But yeah, so let's go ahead, start with our neck. So we'll go left to right over here. And just gently looking left to right, now up and down. We'll go to some neck circles. We'll twitch. Good morning, Terry. I think there's a heat advisory from tomorrow until tomorrow morning until Friday evening. So just keep an eye out. Supposed to be on the warmer side. So let's go ahead and sit on our left hand. Bring that right hand over. Allow the weight of your arm to stretch out that neck. Let's go ahead and switch. Sit on that right hand. Bring that left arm over. Get that stretch. Both hands over your head, backside, elbows drop down. Very good. Let's take a look to our left side and just apply a little bit of pressure on your right side of the chin. Right there. Turn right. Apply pressure on your left chin. Mhm. Very good. Let's go ahead and do some snow angels. here. Morning, Sarah. So again, just a reminder, next week, these Canvas shells will be gone and we'll have some new ones. So the start of the new term is next week. Already halfway through the spring. All right, just continue. Just gonna read the chat real quick. No worries. Yep, I'll double check, Terry. You should be good. All right. And then if folks would like, just bring that right arm across. Hold that stretch. Hold on, Terry, before you sign off. Let me just want to confirm that everyone on here is enrolled for the next term. So joint health and balance. I'm just gonna go over the first names just quickly. I'll go alphabetical. So Mr. Ahmed, Nelly, Debbie, Ella, Kathleen, Leah, Melena, Maria, Jan, Terry, there you are. Elsa, Alma, Jeff, Maria, Teresa, Wayne, Kimberly, Miss Noor, Cherise, Celerina, Carmen, Anna, Martha, Miss Wynn, Josefina, Doris, Lisa, Erasto, Diane, Robin, Linda, Sarah, Olivia, Kelly, and Kelly. So, right. So if you heard your
And
name
Ramon.
and Ramon,
Yeah.
yeah, Ramon, special appearance. So let's go ahead and switch. ¿Todavía le dan problemas de registrarse, Ramón?
Sí, Julio, no me puedes registrar.
Ah, qué raro. Let's bring
Sí.
the right arm over, drop that forearm, and then push down on that elbow. Yeah, last ran on Saturday. We took the last 4 days, 3 days off. Forget. Drop that switch. And yeah, so I tried running this morning to give my foot a little bit of rest. I swam yesterday and I thought it'd feel a little bit better, but I think I either need to get new shoes or start doing some type of stretching or strengthening or therapy on my left lower leg. Finding the lacing around my left shoe irritates my foot. So let's go ahead. Let's rotate here. Well, we're gonna go ahead and reach up towards the ceiling. Go diagonal, drop all the way down, and come back. All right, so reach, extend, and come through. We'll do about 6 of these. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Very good. All right, let's go ahead and drop our shoulders as low as we can and bring them up as high as we can. And just repeat that motion. Up, down, up, down. All right, and now we're gonna do circles. So bring them up, forward, down, back. Just repeat that motion. Do two more. Last one. All right, now in reverse. Morning, Olivia.
Morning, Julio.
Morning. Very good. Okay. Mirror. Clench your hands together. Extend your arms in front of you. You're gonna look down and punch forward. And reset. So when you're looking down, you should have a little bit more room to punch forward and come back. Repeat. Keep going. Two more. And last one. Very good. Let's start off here, facing the camera, elbows at your side. Bring them up as high as you can, and then down. Wow. Do about three more. Two. And one. Very good. All right, we're just gonna start off by elevating our right arm, and we're gonna drop that forearm down and then back up. Again, just drop that forearm down, up. Do two more. One, last one. Okay, we're gonna switch. Come up here and drop that forearm down. Up. One. Very good. All right. Elbows up here, and then go wide. Reset. 3 more. 6, 7, and 8. Very good. All right, let's go ahead. Arms at your side, and we're gonna reach those elbows back as far as we can and relax. Okay, so really just reaching those elbows back, trying to meet them behind you, and relax. Hold for about 2 to 3 seconds. Relax again. Two more. Last one. Very good. Right, we'll start making our way down into our back and now into our legs too. So let's use our chair. Left hand holds on the bottom base sitting area of the chair. Right hand on that backrest. Just a gentle turn. Nothing too excessive. Reach a little bit more. A deeper breath. Very good. Let's switch sides. Turn left. Just again, a gentle turn. Right, reach a little more. Let's go ahead and just allow our wrists to go past our knee. Just apply a little bit of pressure downwards and try to bring that palm up, working on that forearm. Did anyone go for a walk this morning? I've worked out. Okay. So 2 more.
Too dark to walk.
It is. I know it's I'm trying to adjust and I'm having a hard time. I'm still now I find myself waking up at 6:45. Um, because that was 5:45 a few days ago. So yeah, I open my eyes and it looks pretty dark still, and I'm like, ah,
Yeah, it was cloudy.
yeah.
But I did an hour of Tai Chi this morning.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
But
I
I like to
started.
walk before
Yeah,
Tai Chi.
yeah. No, I get that, and I like to stretch before, but I was really um anxious to test my foot out on today's run, and let's do each finger at a time without bending the knuckle. And yeah, it was I'm not sure. I was looking at a bunch of YouTube videos right now, and I think it from what I remember when it started hurting was my calf got really tight, and then I started feeling this weird sensation on my ankle, and then it's just hanging out in that area now. So I ran 20 miles on Saturday, and then the last 2 minutes of the run was the worst. I mean, the first 20 miles was great, but the last point two or point one was just let's make a fizz and relax. Was I don't know what it was. But anyways, I took the last 3 days off running, like, all right, I think I'll test it out today, and it wasn't like pain, but it was there. And I think if you've had like one of those injuries in the past, you know what I'm talking about, where like, it doesn't hurt, but if you push it a little bit more or go that extra block or extra mile, let's switch, um, you're asking for trouble. And I think I was just kind of, walking on that tightrope of, being cautious or being silly with it. And yeah, so, but I also don't have any committed races or events to now, so I'm also not trying to beat myself too much over it, so just trying to be patient. There's a little bit more pressure when you sign up for a race that you pay $200 for, and then you have to kind of train through. So luckily, my that 20 miler I did on Saturday was a big one that I was planning for, and then the 16 miler the week before. Make a fist, relax, do both hands. Um, yeah, but I also like stretching before I run, and I'm just very impatient. I have to do it, but today's schedule just right after this class, I have to go to a meeting, so and I'm busy the rest of the day, so I couldn't run after. So we'll see. Saw a lot of for my foot stuff. I saw a lot of foam rolling for the arches. Separate your fingers away from each other, working on those little tendons. Stretching the calf, doing some ankle mobility. Yeah. It's one of those videos that you turn on YouTube and you're asking or looking for like this miracle stretch or like some magic lift that's gonna make your issue better. And then so I'm looking for this secret formula for my ankle. And then the guy starts going on a tangent talking about how my hamstrings might be tight or imbalanced and my knees might need more support and my hips might be off, and now we're talking about shoes. So now I'm thinking about like one exercise that I need, but the guy talks about 15 other things that I wasn't even thinking about, and then just gentle circles. So so yeah, so I just moved on from that because I get it, like everything's connected. Um, but it doesn't seem that severe, it's just annoying. But I found another YouTube short that had some exercises that I haven't tried with resistance bands. And it looks like it targets the area that I'm feeling, so I'm gonna try that out. Okay, let's go ahead and work on our hips. Yeah, one of the exercises, let's go, so sit upright, right knee comes out, and apply a little bit of pressure. One of the exercises was to kind of tie a band. I have a band back here to tie to a post that's not gonna move, and then have that wrapped around the top part of your foot. So you're sitting down and you're kind of just pulling away from the band. So there's some tension going on there. Um, so that's one of them that I'm gonna try before I get going today. Um, I think another one, everything was with the band, was a calf raise with the band, and then another variation of that band stuff. But yeah, let's see. And switch. Yeah, I'm actually there's this race in Whiting Ranch out there by Trabuco Canyon next weekend. And I'm not considering, you know, racing it, but there's an option to volunteer, and they call it the 10K or the 30K sweep. So pretty much what I would do is I would be behind the last person of the race, and just make sure that that they don't get lost or they're not forgotten about. Because sometimes these events happen and someone just is out there too long and everything shuts down and the person goes to the finish line and no one's there. So this sweep, I would be that person that just makes sure that they make it out there, um, through the whole event. And in lieu of doing that, let's bring that right ankle to my left knee. And for participating as that sweep, I think it says that I will be gifted an entry registration for one of their future races, which it's actually really nice because these races have gotten kind of silly expensive recently. And those races that I've been looking into in the trails, like the one that I might be doing, I think it should cover one of the races that goes between 90 and $150. Um, and yeah, and I mean, I'm just going for a walk and it covers, this entry fee. Let's push down gently. So, but I'll look some up if anyone ever wants to give that a shot and, you know, and usually, just so you guys know, like the last person on these trail races, they're usually not running. They're usually someone that's hiking and just wants to complete a nice distance. But I don't know why they would pay $90 to do that when they could just do that on their own when the trails are, a little bit quieter. But I know the whole race environment could be fun sometimes. So yeah, so we'll see. I might be doing that next Saturday. The 30K sweep. I don't know about that. I was considering that, but that's also a 19 miles. I don't know if I want to do 19 miles of that. So let's bring that left ankle. Uh,
You cannot resist going further and
I
further.
know, and that's why this weekend when my friend told me that the run was gonna be 18 miles, I was like, okay, great. He's like, well, actually, it might be 19. I was like, oh, all right. And then, we're still very far from the parking lot. I can see the parking lot in the distance below me. And I'm like, this is gonna go over 20. And sure enough, it's going down to like 20 point, it ended up being 20.4. So gentle push down. And before I actually saw the cars where we were done, I was really considering, oh, I'll just do 21. I was like, I don't want to end my run at a point 0.4. I want to finish it at a solid number. But by then my foot was just kind of screaming, and I was like, okay, I'll just stop now. Like, I'm not gonna make it worse. Yeah, that was my longest run. Nice little accomplishment. All right, let's go ahead. Climb. Oh, get some water. We've been here about half an hour now, so grab some water. We'll recline. Lean back. Bring that right leg towards your chest. Just extend that lower leg. And then switch. Very good. Let's go ahead and then just do a kick, extend, bring that heel back, and repeat. And switch. I'm gonna go ahead and just do some calf raises right here. Nothing too excessive. On some toe raises. So keep your feet flat and raise your toes. Like this bothers my foot. Oh. Okay, and then let's go right foot. Go with the ABCs on that right foot. Some ankle mobility. Switch. And then next one is we're just gonna have our feet flat and claw at the floor. So pull your toes towards your heel. All right, very good. We're gonna get on our feet and do some standing stretches now. Okay, so go ahead, get on your feet. You could grab the foam roller as well and like your sticks. We could work on the shoulders. We'll just have that ready off to the side. Okay. All righty. We have that chair nearby. Just use it one last time. Just gonna go ahead and step on it. Again, of course, make sure it's safe, make sure it's not on tires. We're just gonna lean and then come back. Come back. Let's go ahead and switch. And back. Forward. Very good. And again, make sure it's safe. So put your foot on it right there, and then just lean forward and up, and down, up, 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 up. And then switch sides. I'm gonna do my left leg now. Again, make sure that chair's not slipping. Right there, and 1, up, up, 2, 3. That's 1. Very good. Go ahead and just work on a little bit of hip mobility. So this is going to be balanced too. So you could always have a counter, but drive that right knee up, then out, down, up, and down. So that's 1. We're doing 5 of each. Good. 3, 4, 5. And we'll switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let's go with our hamstring stretch. So slight bend at the knees, reach for your ankles, and drop your hips, and go up. Drop your hips up, and drop them as low as you can. You can't drop them all the way down, just as low as you can. Two more. And then just big hula hoops before we start with our shoulders. Just big hip circles here. Switch. All right, let's grab the foam roller. Okay, and begin left to right. The swinging. All right, focus on that left side. Six, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 30 degrees forward. $60. 90. And towards the back. Right side now. Thirty degrees. $60. Right in front of you. Towards the back. All right, let's go behind the back. Up and down. And then lift. Alrighty. Okay. So we'll finish off with the few on the floor, but we don't have much left. Does anyone have any questions before we start going towards the end? Remember, this course shell for this class won't be available after this weekend. And then we're gonna have some new course shells, okay? So just so everyone's on the same page. Right. So we're gonna go here on our fours, finish off with stretching out our back here. So on our fours, we're gonna arch up and then down, up, down. Mhm. Here, we're gonna arch up and bring our glutes towards our back of our heels. Reset. Let's take, with our hands, let's shift over to our left side. Arch up, glutes to heels. Reset. All right, let's shift to our right side now. Arch up, glutes to heels. and reset. All right, and then just for our last stretches of the session, gotta close out for class. I'm gonna stack the legs here, and let's bring that top leg as far forward as you could lift it. Once you can't go anymore, drop it. You gotta stretch on that hamstring. Hold this for about 30 seconds. And let's swing back as far back as we can. And drop that heel. Be good. All right. I'm gonna switch sides. Do you want to do book openers? If you do, give me a thumbs up and we could add another one to the finish. Just let me know emojis if you like to do book openers for our back. All right. We'll do some book openers. So if you want to stick around, this win is giving me the thumbs up. Again, if you feel good, you could even use your hands to lift that leg a little bit more. So that hamstring. And then let's reach as far back as we can and drop that heel. And relax. All right, so if you want to stick around for the book openers, we're just from this position, just tuck in your knees a little bit, stack your hands here, and then just follow that top hand all the way behind you. And come back. We'll do 8 of these. Two. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. And 8. Last one, I promise. On this, we're just gonna do book openers on our right side now. So again, tuck in your legs, stack them, and reach. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, folks. I think I'm seeing most of you next term. Went over the list. But if I am losing any of you, as always, it's always a pleasure spending time with you guys.
Bye. I have to go. See you next Monday.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye, Carmen. Carmen's gonna rush out. See you next week. But yeah, does anyone have any questions before we head out? I'll be closing out this class, so you guys all have my information. If you want to reach out and send me an email, you can. Otherwise, you folks know already for these classes, they usually don't start until or have access to the Canvas course shell until midnight of the same day the class starts. So we won't have access to the Canvas course shell until Sunday night at midnight, pretty much. If we don't have any questions, then I'll see everyone next week. And yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Okay. Thank you, Julio.
All right,
Gracias, Julio. Gracias.
that's it.
Julio.
All right, bye, folks.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Thank
Julio.
you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.